Okay, we have to talk about this right now. It's urgent. We have to talk about the elephant in the room. I'm David Thompson. So, who or what is the elephant in the room? Well, in this case, the elephant in the room is Donald Trump. Now, recently, Donald Trump has shown he's now going farther and farther off the reservation mentally. Now, I'm told from people behind the scenes that it's a struggle to get him ready to do a press conference or a news brief. He needs medicated, talked down. He needs time to get his mind together. And even after that, he goes out and makes a fool out of him and all of us. Now, recently, he was up on the roof of the White House, and he was yelling down at basically reporters. And he was talking about nuclear weapons, building them or placing them here. And he was asked, what are you doing? What's about nuclear weapons? And he was making hand gestures like launching a nuclear weapon or something. That's crazy. It's not funny. Now, the Washington Post, Donald Trump's favorite newspaper, and Caroline Leavitt, you know her, his propaganda minister, loves the Washington Post. Loves, and they always protect him, and they said it was a joke. No one in the world thought it was funny but you and your nutcase MAGA people, Donald. How about that? He also wanted to start riding in the police cars to arrest people, because there's all criminals. Everybody but him is a criminal. Of course, he's one of the biggest criminals. How many counts of violence against women, rape, of course, all the 38 felony counts that he was accused of and found guilty on, that he denies. None of that's real. He's the law guy. He's the law and order guy. So he's going to use everything in his power to bring law and order to America. Okay, Donald, that scares me, because what you did is you used troops, federal troops, to do that, National Guard. Now, he did this in L.A. Remember that? L.A., 2,000 troops because there were protests. Some were maybe a little more violent. There was throwing and there was yelling, and there was some. Not a lot. Probably well within an acceptable level here in the U.S. because no one really goes all out in these protests. But he used that as an excuse to send troops. The governor didn't want him. The police department didn't want him. Donald Trump wanted him because he was proving a point. He was taking his first step, a tiny test trial of how he can get away with it. And he found that it worked. Even though there were people saying, even within the military, this is not a good idea, he did it anyway, and his supporters loved him for it. Because remember, his supporters are law and order types. If you're brown, you're black, guess what? Or even a woman, you don't really count. So shut up, we're going to do what we want. And that's what he's doing, what he wants, to make America white again. So basically, Donald Trump used the National Guard basically to stop the protests or patrol the protests because he said that crime is out of control. Now remember, in the run-up to the election, he said that the country was full of crime. Crime waves. Unbelievable crime waves. I'll say it again. They are eating the cats and dogs. Things are happening, rapes and murders, protests that were destroying things, people getting ripped off and raped and murdered. No statistics in the country proved any of that. He doesn't believe the statistics. He doesn't believe the numbers. They're all cheating him. They're all a lie. That's why he fired the chairman of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. She didn't give him the numbers he wanted as dictator. They're not going to release any numbers in August because guess what? The numbers won't show anything better than what she gave him in July because his economy is collapsing. Another rabbit hole. So now Donald Trump recently said that there was a massive crime emergency in D.C. There's not. I've been to D.C. There's not any massive crime wave anywhere. Yeah, there's violence in every city. Every city. Whether you're in a red city or a blue city, there's violence. Okay? But he wanted to make sure he stopped it because he wanted to control D.C. first. His power base will be D.C. He wanted to put that to rest. They may never leave. We don't know. So this is the start. People, this is the start. This is the start of his taking all the power he can and controlling all the Democratic cities. Because his job is to make sure those fascist Republicans and himself can continue to get elected or stay in office. They have power to do whatever they want because, you see, Democrats and people who vote Democrat should not have any say in our government. This is a quote. He also wants to eliminate homelessness. His Supreme Court voted that, yes, basically cities can now arrest people who are homeless. Even if they have nowhere to go, you can arrest them. So why so much anger towards homeless people and poor people and cities that are brown? See, because he wants to make America white again. He's going to make sure that we have safety, that his people can control everything. I'm not sure that that will ever happen, but he's going to try. He's going to try. That doesn't mean, and I could be wrong, I don't have a crystal ball. I could be wrong. He could take over. He can start sending troops everywhere, and unless we stand up, we, the people, stand up, we can lose it all. So get this, Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves. This is a guy that came out of the pits of hell. He was bragging about sending his troops, his National Guard, to D.C. I got news for you, Governor Reeves. What about your state? You have the murder capital of America in your state. Why are we sending troops there, to the right-wing, white supremacist, evangelical state of Mississippi, where they hate anything brown, always have? And it's, guess what? It's these Mississippi National Guardsmen. And I don't believe it's all of them, but I can guarantee you there's a lot of racism throughout that state. They're the ones that are now standing in front, in a group, in front of the Black History Museum in D.C. How would you like that? Would you go in there? It's a show of force. And statistics have shown, and studies have shown, that when you're intimidated like that, publicly, those people have a tendency not to go and vote. Donald Trump and his people know this. The Republican tards know this. Here is part of that plan. There's part of these plans everywhere, pieces of them, step by step. Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's masterpiece of white supremacy. You see, this is the Hegelian dialectic. It's a word for problem, reaction, solution. So Donald Trump creates a problem even if it's not there. Massive riots. They're eating the cats and dogs. There's a crime wave. You name it, they can make it. There's a reaction from people, mostly his people. Do something, Donald. Do something. And of course, he has the solution. What's the solution, you ask? I'm going to send troops. We're going to federalize everything. We're going to take control. Now, Senator Chris Van Hollen, Democrat of Maryland, accused President Trump of a raw authoritarian power grab after the president moved to federalize the District of Columbia's police department and called the National Guard into the district streets. He said he's playing dictator in our nation's capital as a dress rehearsal as he pushes democracy to the brink. Van Hollen wrote on social platform X. And Hollen went on to say, and by the way, Trump couldn't care less about safety in D.C. or the people of D.C. If he did, he wouldn't have blocked D.C. from spending $1 billion of its own money to fund its own police department, schools, and more, the Maryland senator added, referring to a government funding bill that blocked the district from spending already appropriated funds. This is flatly about testing the limits of his power. And that's exactly what I described. Donald Trump is testing the limits of his power. Because ultimately, to take full control of a country, you got to break it down into manageable pieces. You got to bend the will of the people to your will. You got to give them a reason to fear, a reason that they need you, a reason for you to take complete control. This happened in every dictatorship in history. This is not new. Nothing here is new, people. Nothing's new. This is the playbook from a dictator, from a fascist. So there's a survey that I want to tell you about. Hundreds of scholars say the U.S. is swiftly heading toward authoritarianism. I disagree with them. We're already there. The elephant in the room. A survey of more than 500 political scientists find that the vast majority think the United States is moving swiftly from liberal democracy towards some form of authoritarianism. In the benchmark survey known as Bright Line Watch, U.S.-based professors rate the performance of American democracy on a scale from 0, complete dictatorship, to 100, perfect democracy. After Donald Trump's election in November, American scholars gave democracy a rating of 67. Several weeks into Trump's second term, the figure plummeted to 55. That's a precipitous drop, says John Kerry, a professor of government at Dartmouth and co-director of Bright Line Watch. There's certainly consensus. We're moving in the wrong direction. So undoubtedly, we're moving more and more towards an authoritarian government. I believe we're already there. What we're heading for is more dictatorship, fascism. Now, what we all have to understand is Donald Trump isn't going to make any big moves right away. He didn't. They were incremental, as I mentioned. Challenging the Constitution, going after certain judges, going after certain newspapers, going after certain law firms, sending troops into L.A., sending troops now into D.C., and now he's promising to send troops to Chicago. Chicago already said they don't want them. But he's going to do it. He's going to take control, and these are going to be Democratic cities. Not because Republican cities are any better. They're not really. Keep in mind, all the biggest populations are in blue states. The right-wing nutcases are in the South, and you got the Midwestern people who are clueless, and then you got people in California who, are on the battle lines with Governor Newsom. He's on the front lines of this battle. I support Governor Newsom. But Donald Trump is now targeting things he knows he can take easily, that there'll be no real pushback. He already went after John Bolton, former national security advisor under his administration, a guy who has talked very badly about Donald Trump, wrote a book dealing with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump went after him. Because recently, the last few weeks, John Bolton has hammered Donald Trump on just about everything he's done, especially that summit with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska, where Donald Trump made the U.S. look like fools, made himself look like a fool, which isn't unusual, and Putin walked away laughing. Putin's got him by the balls, and pretty much gave Ukraine to Putin against everybody else's wishes in the Western world to put up a fight, do something. Of course, he promised to solve that war in 24 hours. That shows you how big of a liar this guy is. So now he went after John Bolton. He's going to go after more people that have come against him in the public eye. He's going to go after them all. You might be on that list. I might be on that list, although the David Tomczyk show probably isn't big enough to get on his radar. At least I don't think. But he's going to start tightening the clamps. Where does this end? Where does this end? False here. Numbers will come out, one way or the other, on how bad his economy is. Numbers will come out how his tariff war, his trade war is destroying American businesses, American farmers. Prices are going up. They're going up, people. I was just at the thrift store here, Salvation Army. A lady's a friend of mine, works there. She said she's getting heat from people because their prices went up. I don't know by how much. I see that things are $3, maybe more than they were a year ago. This is all because of Donald Trump. Everything will go up, whether it needs to or not. See, that's not the point. Don't blame people. When you start allowing prices to get out of control, everybody's got to follow suit to keep pace. Even a place like City Mission or the Salvation Army. It's the way it works, people. Donald Trump is a disaster. He's his own worst enemy, and he's the worst enemy of freedom, of business, of farming, of anything we do here in America. The worst case scenario was Donald Trump in this election. And those of you that voted for him, I hate to say this, you should reconsider your standing by him. I know pastors that said, well, he was the best choice. Meanwhile, your flock's getting flocked. Literally. And you won't say, hey, I made a mistake. Kamala Harris wouldn't have put us anywhere near harm's way that we're in right now. I guarantee it. Socialism, communism, all these things that they bring up, make up. The right-wing nutcases make this stuff up. Create the narrative, and people believe it. They're socialists. And just like Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump wants to get rid of the New Deal. He wants to get rid of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. We don't need black or brown people voting. We don't need women voting. It can be all the white men, all the right-wing white men. Now, in the South, back after the Reconstruction, black people couldn't vote. You know why? They didn't own land. Only people that own land could vote because they're the ones that had a say in everything. Well, black people weren't going to own land. They weren't going to allow them to own land. I digress there. We're in trouble. And those of you who want to support freedom, please subscribe, like, and share to this channel. Help us grow to reach more people. We're trying to get the news out, the word out. We're trying to build a coalition against the evil that's happening right now in this country. If you don't think there's evil, if you don't think there's a problem, again, you're on the wrong channel. We know there is here. We know America is in trouble. We know our democracy's in trouble. Our Constitution's in trouble. And if you're a person of color, you're in trouble. Let's stand together. Again, join us, like, subscribe, and share. And remember, we have a sister channel, Nights Around the Fire. We talk about mysteries, legends, and myths. It's a great channel. I have a link in the description box. Go watch it. You'll enjoy it. Besides that, God bless you. Don't forget to love your neighbor as yourself. And I'll see you next time right here on the David Tomsic Show. The elephant in the room.